Yo, what's up YouTube gang? I'm Jay Pats, and today I'm going to be showing you how to layer samples, drums, in order to make a knocking soulful boom bap beat. So without wasting any time, let's just jump right into it. So here's a preview of the beat. So you could just tell, simple knocking boom bap soulful shit. So for me, when I'm making beats, especially sample beats, I like getting the melody slash the sample chops down first. So that's what I started with on this beat, and these are the chops that I did. So after I have the melody slash the sample chops down, I like to get into the drums because I feel like the sample and the drums go hand in hand because they both have a certain groove, because the sample is being played by a real band, so the timing's never perfect. So in that sense, I like to build the drums around the sample, make sure that they fit the sample instead of just putting like any boom bap drums in there or just any drums on there in general. So what I wanted to start with on this was a drum break because this just felt like it needed a drum break. With the chop sounded like this. I was like, yeah, that's cool, that's dope, I like the groove. If you look at the drum break, I had to time correct it just to make sure that it fit well with the sample. So that just comes down to your ears, listening, finding the right drum break, and then making sure that the groove fits the sample. Because even if it is a drum break that fits with the sample, timing of either the sample or the drum break might be a little bit off. So you might need to swing the break or the sample a little bit in order for the drums and the sample to feel good together. So hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of more just like an ear and a feeling thing. But for me, how the drum break was when I time corrected it to the sample, it sounded good. So from there, I just wanted to make the drum break knock. So I'll show you what I did with that. I layered a kick, and when you're choosing a kick, you want to choose one that complements the drum break. So for example, let's listen to this drum. Like it hits, but I just wanted to have like a little more punch and a tiny bit more of low end. So this is the kick I chose to fill that spot. You can see that I kind of missed some notes, but that's okay because we're working with MIDI anyway. We just want to perfect the drums so that they sound good layered with the drum break and nothing sounds like too off, because if you have the layered kick and the drum break off, then it's not going to sound right. It's just going to sound bad. You could see the first few sound pretty good. Maybe pull this back a little bit because we did quantize the drum break. Things can be pretty much on. We want to just make sure nothing sounds off when we bring the kick in with the break. Alright, so it sounds pretty good to me. I'll show you the drum break without the kick and then with it. So this is without it. And then this is with it. You could just hear it adds that extra punch, exactly what I wanted to make the drum break knock a little bit more. Next, we did a rim shot. The drum break is a rim shot as well. Felt it would be necessary to follow suit with that. Sometimes you might need to pitch the sound up or down just to match the break, but I liked how this sounded layered with the break. So this is how the rim shot sounds layered. so that sounds dope. Like here, I'll show you again without the rim shot and then with it. Just adds that like extra snap, and sometimes it might not even be something that you hear that distinctly in the beat, but it's there, you know, and it just adds that frequency that catches your ear and just makes you feel like it's knocking really hard. Right, so same thought process with the hats. I just wanted like another hat layer to make the drum break move a little bit more. So this is the hat that I did. So let's just record it. So the natural swing you could see is pretty good, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. So again, here's without the hats, and then I'll show you with it. You could just hear it adds more movement. All these things that I'm doing are pretty subtle, but they just make that difference in the end with the entire beat, you know? It might not sound crazy alone, but when you bring the whole thing together, it just feels right. These are the drums that I had and was happy with. Again, the whole theme here, you could tell, is just building things that suit the sample well and groove with it well. It's all feeling. It's kind of hard to teach these things. It's just something you got to do and practice, and hopefully these concepts that I'm telling you and the ways I think of it will help you to making your drums knock and sound a little bit better. This was the idea I had when I had the beat. I had the sample chops and then I had the drums. Then the only thing I felt like I was missing was the break. So here's where we are right now. What I like to do, because I'm not great at like playing anything on the keys or bass, is I like to record the bass part by part. So I might record one beat or two beats and then stop it and then record like the next two. I'm also not great at coming up with bass lines over melodies. What I did on this was kind of just critically listen to the sample and try to figure out what kind of bass I wanted to do over it, because you don't always need to follow the sample's bass line. You could just kind of play notes that are similar and they might groove differently, as long as you EQ out the low end of the sample, which you can see I've done here. Let's just listen to the sample and then you'll see what I mean. Boom, 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 boom. Something like that I can just kind of hear in the sample. So I kind of try to just figure that out on my own and just record parts one by one. And then like as for figuring those notes out, you got to just kind of play with it. What I like to do is just hum in with the samples. So I'm hearing like boom, boom, boom. Take the bass. And I'm using the Contact Scarby Rickenbacker, which I use a lot. And I'm just figuring that out, you know, like boom, 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 boom. And what you could also do is pitch the bass up an octave, or two even. Boom, boom, boom. And that sounds like what the sample is doing. So that's basically how I recorded that part. Like I said in the beginning, you don't need to follow the bass line of the sample, but I guess in this case I kind of did. And you could also just play around with it and try to come up with your own groove. Like as long as you filter out the bass, you don't need to play exactly what the sample was, like I said. All together with that, we have see, and that sounds really good. Yeah, so in this case I did opt for kind of following the bass line, like I said, but You don't have to. Definitely don't have to. And one more thing you can kind of see on the bass, I have the bass notes a little bit behind. That's kind of how I try to play it because, I don't know, I just like hip hop bass lines being behind the drums. It just sounds good and the groove sounds right to me. That's just why I did that. Literally a really simple beat. All we did was the drums that I showed you, layered the drum break, did a bass line, and had the sample chop. So this is everything together. Thought process for the arrangement here, I just like this groove, so I kind of just kept this 8 bars going, and I didn't want to do too much with it. As you could tell if you watch my videos, I don't like to overthink any of my beats. For the intro of the beat, all we did was find a different part of the sample, looped it, and it felt good when it dropped into the verse, so I just kept that. And you can tell we had a filter on it just to make it feel like it's moving and opening up a bit. So after the intro, it just drops into the verse. And we have 16 bars of the same thing. And then it just drops into that intro or breakdown section again. I brought this effect in too just to add a little more movement. And then again, back into the verse. And then the outro, same section. Just a little fade out. Pretty much the whole beat. Thank you for checking out the video. I'm going to leave a link to the full beat in the description so you could check it out afterwards if you would like to. And hopefully you learned something that you can apply to your own beats with your own signature touch. And please don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell because I'm starting this channel from scratch and not using my existing type beat channel, which is already established. So any support would be greatly appreciated so that I could share my knowledge to other producers like yourself and we could learn and grow together. So thanks again for checking out the video. I'm Jay Pats. Peace.